Peace, and welcome to Oddly Familiar. In today's episode, we have some stories, some mashups, and overall, some solid entries. All of these were submitted by viewers like you. We have a list of nearly 1,000 entries, about 500 from Discord and about 500 from random YouTube comments. And now, we will talk about 10 of those. Our first entry is from Touhou 9, Sakuya's theme, Flowering Night. And that has been compared to the Iron Maiden song titled The Trooper. A submission from Neil Camerlengo. They ask, what does this rank on the Oddly scale? Personally, I give it at least a 6 out of 10, possibly a 7 out of 10. The instruments may be different, but the melody is a little bit similar. Touhou is known for its good music. Some of my favorite themes come from the franchise. The composer Zune has composed for every game in the series, and there is a lot. Next up, we have a popular theme from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. And that seems to take influence from Ennio Morricone, for a few dollars more. Submitted by Mayase Delta, this is one you can hear when each track gets past the intro, and then once it plays, it's pretty much undeniable. On the Oddly scale, we rated a 7 out of 10. It's quite similar for the first minute or so, but then the TMNT track kind of goes off in its own direction. First released in 1991 in arcades and then in 1992 for the SNES. We played the Super Nintendo version, but the same melody can be found in the arcade as well. Our next position is held by Bank Panic, the main theme. And that was inspired by an old song titled, I Wish I Was in Dixieland. Given to us by Chris Hayes. These two have a lot in common, so it ranks pretty high on the Oddly scale. We have it at an 8 out of 10. It could almost go as high as a 9, but it's an 8 for now. Bank Panic was released on the Sega Master System in 1987, and that's the version we played. You can also find an earlier version on the MSX in 1985, and the arrangements are pretty much the same. There's also an even earlier version that you can hear in the arcade game. Our lucky number 7 entry is from SWAT 4, the Stechkov Syndicate, the Subway Combat theme. That has a little bit of a similar sound to Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, the Psycho Mantis theme. Submitted by Thunder821, this entry is from the Stechkov Syndicate expansion pack to SWAT 4. The main similarity to me is the drum pattern. They use different drum sounds, Metal Gear using digital sounding drums, while SWAT used more grimy and real sounding drums. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes was released in 2004, while the SWAT expansion pack didn't drop until 2006. On our Oddly scale, this one gets a 6 out of 10, and it's mainly thanks to those drums. The next entry today comes from Sonic the Hedgehog, Labyrinth Zone. And that may have been influenced by the Johnny Hates Jazz song titled Shattered Dreams. Submitted by Shindukes, they even went as far to make a mashup for us to listen to. I didn't really hear the similarity until it was chopped up and mixed together. So on our Oddly scale, the unedited version probably gets a 4 or 5 out of 10, but when you listen to the mashup, I think it can get as high as a 6 out of 10. The Johnny Hates Jazz song Shattered Dreams was first released in March of 1987, while Sonic was first released 4 years later in 1991. So it's at least a possibility. Next on our Oddly list today comes from Tales of Destiny, a theme titled Champion. And that, of course, is Espana Cani, also known as the Spanish Gypsy Dance. Submitted by Scotty the Great One, this also just happens to be the same song that inspired the Vega theme from Street Fighter. Espana Cani was written around 1923 and recorded in 1926. According to Wikipedia, its refrain is one of the most popular pieces of Spanish music and is popular worldwide. Tales of Destiny is a PS1 game that was first released in late of 1997. On our Oddly scale, it receives an 8 out of 10. It's undeniable and easily recognizable. Our unlucky number 4 spot is the Stage 1 theme from Morricone. And that's the Shouten theme song. Submitted by Deluxe, as soon as I pressed play, I recognized what the Morricone theme was. I've never played Morricone, but I have seen Shouten. It debuted in 1966 and the theme song has been used since 1969. If you don't know the show, you may recognize the format. You have the host with all the guests lined up in their colorful kimonos. On the Oddly scale, we have this one an 8 out of 10. And it's even very close to being a 9 out of 10. Our number 3 entry today comes from Treasure Master, the title screen theme. And that's a remix of the Starsky and Hutch TV show theme song. Submitted by Anime, this Treasure Master theme is outstanding for being from just an NES. Composed by Tim Fallon, he was a fan of the Starsky and Hutch TV show and remixed it for fun. Years later, Tim Fallon was hired to do the Starsky and Hutch video game soundtrack. So now he was able to do his own rendition with 100% permission and not just an oddly familiar sounding theme. On the oddly scale, we have this one a 7 out of 10, because Tim Fallon didn't just use the melody. He goes all out, and that's why he's one of the top chiptune composers. Our number 2 entry is from Syphon Filter 2, the Cinematic at the Disco. And that sounds an awfully lot like Abba's song titled Dancing Queen. From Good Vibe Collecting, this entry is confirmed and there's a good reason why it sounds so similar. A prototype of Syphon Filter 2 was leaked, and if you make it to this point in the game, you'll hear the actual Dancing Queen song by Abba. Rumor has it that the copyright was never cleared and they removed it from the game. In its place, they used an oddly familiar sounding track. On the oddly scale, we give it an 8 out of 10. It's just a replacement of Dancing Queen, made to sound similar enough to give the feel, but different enough to avoid a lawsuit. Our last entry today comes from Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy, the end credits theme. That could be influenced by Kraftwerk and their song titled Computer Love. Submitted by Sean, he even went as far to cut, edit, pitch shift, and mix the theme and song together. It's not one that I heard at first, but after listening to his mashup, I wonder how I missed it. Kraftwerk was formed in 1969, and they went on to be one of the most influential groups in electronic music. If you like chiptunes and synth music, you might like Kraftwerk. There's a good chance you already know some of their songs. The Game Boy version of Mega Man 2 was released in late 1991. The soundtrack was composed by Kenji Yamazaki. He has worked on many games, with this being one of the more popular ones. On the oddly scale, this one receives an 8 out of 10. And with the mashup, it really stands out. Thanks to everyone for submitting oddly entries. There's quite a long list. Last but not least, shout out to gold level patrons Bearsona and Quantum X. Until next time, I am ICC. Thanks for watching. Peace.